Hey there, and welcome to our Getting Started series. This is a series for new homeschool families and a resource for veterans to share with those that you know that want to homeschool. I'm here with my friend, Audra Talley, and she's a board member with Homeschool Idaho. And today, she's going to just give us a little bit of an overview of homeschooling, what it is, what it isn't, why that even matters, what is the Homeschool Idaho law, and how can we represent well. So, welcome, Audra.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well. Excited to be
Awesome.
here with you.
I'm excited to share all the joys and the fun of homeschooling in Idaho and let everybody know the best, the simplest, most straightforward way to get started.
That's what we want. We don't want anything complicated.
Yeah, keeping it simple.
Perfect. So what,
Well,
Audra, what is, if you were to sum up, what is homeschooling? So many people have been brought home recently, and they have just recently experienced the online school or the distance learning with the public school. And so we're getting a lot of questions like, is this what homeschool is? Mm.
well, homeschool is a lot of things, but honestly, the crisis schooling and the last minute getting dropped into it is not what homeschooling is normally like on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So that's why we're here. Is what's been experienced by so many people in the last couple of months is kind of an off-kilter picture. So
Mhm.
we want to kind of take you back to the basics, back to ground zero, and look at it from a what's the normal, what's real life homeschool look like. So first first off, homeschooling is a lifestyle. This is just a day-to-day way we live our lives and engage with our children and the environment around us.
Right.
It is customizable. So if you've got a family of 10 with 10 kids, or you've got one at home, you can switch and you can change and you can adjust everything to fit your family's needs and your lifestyle. It's flexible. Honestly, what a lot of people have experienced this last couple of months has not been terribly flexible.
Correct.
But homeschooling, yeah, typically is extremely flexible from your day-to-day
Mhm.
schedules to your curriculum, all those things combined. That is one of the biggest benefits of homeschooling.
Absolutely.
One of the unique things is that it's parent led, and it's parent funded. And what that means is that the parent gets to choose every little detail of what their homeschool looks like, how it's managed day in and day out. And honestly, it's a little tough sometimes, but we also fund it
Right.
ourselves. And you can keep it as simple and as inexpensive as you want, or you can make it as complex and broad and as expensive as you want.
Right.
So there's all those components to it. So we're hoping that as we go through the series, that you're going to see where all those elements come into play in how your homeschool life is.
Absolutely. And the word that really sticks out to me when I think of homeschool is freedom. Freedom to teach our
Yes,
kids according to the way they learn, freedom, like you said, to be flexible with our schedules,
absolutely.
freedom to work it around our family and our life. And I think
Yes.
that's a big thing that a lot of parents struggled with when they were thrown in to what they were recently thrown into
Yeah.
is it didn't feel like there was a lot of freedom. However,
Yeah.
they did see a lot of benefits. They loved being home with their kids. They loved being a
Yes.
part of the kids' learning. So
Mm-hmm.
we're here to share with you that you get all of the good that you experienced without most of the bad
Absolutely.
because of the freedom
Yes.
that we have in homeschool. So
Yes.
what isn't homeschool? What are some of the misconceptions that people have with what homeschool is?
So a lot of times parents who are new to homeschooling have the vision of their past experience with the public school system, and they try to replicate that at home, which means it's rigid.
Hmm.
It There's a start time, there's an end time. We must cover XYZ every single day, and it
Like it's
feels
sucking the
stifled.
life out of you. Just kidding.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you know that when we
Yeah.
we all have real life that happens, and we've got to
Right.
have a little bit of flexibility to adapt to it. And a lot
Right.
of times, coming into homeschooling, the feeling is that it can be too rigid, and that's
Right.
what we bring that from the outside, from our experiences with our typical public school system. There's a
Right.
set schedule, there's set material, there's set days of the year, all that. So
Right.
one thing homeschooling is not is it's not rigid. You're
Right.
not confined. Now, a couple of other things that it's not, and this is kind of getting down into the nitnoid legalities that we're kind of going to start covering today, is that
Right.
there's there's three other things that we have to think about. It is not state funded.
Correct.
Um, it is not state directed. Okay. And it is not public school at home. There are a lot of people in our community who are doing school at home, but it is still under the direction of the state board of education. And
So your
home,
students, if you're doing that, are still considered public school students, right? They are still
absolutely,
enrolled in a government funded a public school, and that is a
exactly,
misconception. And we're not here to say, what one way or another. We're just letting you know that that the reality is they are two separate things, and we want parents to know that when
right,
you enroll in a public school at home, your children are public school students, and they're under the
right,
regulations of what the public school students are.
exactly.
Good. That's like
And
an important differentiation.
it is, and it's parents are at liberty to choose one or the other, but it's
For
always
sure.
wise to know what you're choosing on each side of that equation,
For sure.
and understand the distinctions. So
Wonderful.
that's just important for you to be aware
Good.
of.
Good. Which kind of goes into what we're going to talk about next is why does it matter? Why does it matter that we know these laws? Why is this might be our most boring session because people are like, it's the law. But it's really important. We need to know this. So will you explain why it's important that we need to know these things?
Sure. There are certain parts of Idaho's law pertaining to education that even as homeschoolers, we have to be aware of and we have to understand. And one of the most basic ones is that we need to understand that Idaho school law requires that children be educated at starting at the age of 7. Those Idaho compulsory attendance laws apply to all children from the age of 7 to 16, whether or not they're being educated at home or at the public schools. So
Right.
there are some elements in our law that require that. Another one that we are obligated to adhere to as far as law is that we are supposed to teach as homeschoolers subjects commonly and usually taught in the public schools. That is an expectation that Idaho law places on us as homeschoolers. Um, but that's the extent of it.
Right.
It is it's very basic
There's a
beyond
lot
that.
of freedom there. They don't tell you how to teach it or when to teach
Exactly.
it, but it is assumed, and required that we do teach it. So, Audra, so do I need to have a certification, in order to teach these things? Because I hear a lot that, I need to be a certified teacher to be able to teach these things in order to homeschool my kid. Is that true under Idaho state law?
No, absolutely not. And that is one of the amazing things about Idaho in particular and our homeschool laws is that while there's that expectation we will educate our children, there are no other restrictions placed on it. So let's just go over a few of those. One, there is no parent educational minimum. So the state is not going to say you have to have at least a high school level, a high school diploma to teach your children. They aren't asking that you have a college degree or a teaching certification. None of that is required in order to educate your kids in Idaho. There is no paperwork we have to file in order to homeschool our children. So if you have a young child, 5, 6, 7, that you want to start educating, you just begin educating. If you have a child that you want to pull out of the public school, while it's not required, it's prudent to inform the school of your intention to
Okay.
withdraw your child and begin educating them at home. But beyond that, you do not have to provide the state with any paperwork saying, here's the curriculum I'm using, here's the days we're doing school. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm taking them out. But,
Okay.
again, let's be
Right.
prudent when we have
Yeah, and I
children in the
do
public
think
school
that
system.
the, homeschoolidaho.org website has, a kind of a sample letter on there
They
for
do.
parents
Yep.
that wanna turn it in. So you can find that sample letter there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yes, yes. And it gives the amount of information that the school will need, but not more than what they need.
Perfect.
So I kind of going back onto the stuff that we're not required is that there's no particular number of hours or days that we are required to instruct.
The
Um,
amazing thing about that means if my child can master something in 1 hour, then I am not bound by the requirements to spend 2 hours teaching it to them. You know,
Absolutely.
that allows me the freedom to teach my child to where they're at. Or if it takes them 5 hours to master something that other kids can master an hour, I've got those 5 hours, right?
Exactly.
It's a beautiful
And that's
freedom that
that.
we have.
Yeah. And that's exactly what, going back to our customizable and
Right.
flexible component of homeschooling, is that you get to adapt your homeschool approach to your children, which
It's
is amazing.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah. So another one that a lot of people ask, and especially for those families who are considering homeschooling with older children, is, are we required is it required that our children obtain a GED? And the answer is no.
No.
And there's no requirement that they take the SAT. And when we get to our high school video, we'll talk more about the ins and outs of the GED and the SATs and the value of those items, or those particular completion
Right.
components, as to whether you choose to do those or not.
Wonderful.
Um, yeah. So the
What
other thing
about
that's
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. No,
Oh, what about testing? What about do we need to teach first, my one question is, do we need to teach Common Core? Are we required to do that? And two, are we required to take these standardized tests that I'm seeing everywhere?
no, and no. What's yes. Again, Idaho law just says that we are expected to teach subjects commonly and usually taught in the public schools. Now,
Yes.
how we teach and what material we use to teach that is totally up to our discretion as homeschool parents. So,
Perfect.
no, we are not required to teach Common Core. As far as testing, we are also not required to test our children. However, a lot of homeschool parents opt to test their children for a number of reasons. It gives us a clue as to where our children are academically in relationship to their peers.
Right.
It gives us valuable feedback, and it's a great teaching tool for our children to become comfortable with test taking itself,
For
because
sure.
they're going to do it in college. They may want to go ahead and take the SAT or the ACT. They're going to be taking tests of some kind all their lives. So, but again, that is based on the parents' choice to do so or not do so.
Right. And those test scores cumulatively, once a year we take them and we show them to our legislators, and it our scores, and you can get on our website and see this, but our
Right.
scores are an incredible example of the work that parents in Idaho are doing and how seriously that they take this calling.
Exactly. And it's prudent to engage in and provide our test scores, because it becomes an educational tool for the rest of the
Absolutely.
community.
For
Yeah,
sure. Okay, hot
absolutely.
topic, hot topic. Tell
Okay.
me about it's everywhere, vaccination. Do I have to
Oh,
vaccinate my kids when I homeschool?
no.
There's a
There
lot of
is
no's here. I'm
actually,
loving it.
yeah, there's a whole lot of no's that translate to a whole lot of yes and a whole lot of
Yeses.
freedom. So
Absolutely.
no, we are not required to vaccinate our children.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, while you have to go to public school, when you go to public school, there is a vaccination requirement. Idaho law also allows for certain exemptions. When you homeschool, you don't even have to fill out the exemption form. Okay, there is a caveat though. In Idaho, homeschool students are allowed to participate in academic or extracurricular activities in the public schools. And parents need to recognize that if their homeschool students want to participate, the
Right.
school may require they meet their vaccination requirements and or have a written exemption filed. So
Correct.
just be aware of that.
Yeah, and I would add to that that that's not necessarily something we need to. I mean, you are choosing to put your child into those situations. So you can again choose not to. So
Yes,
that we do have the freedom to not participate in those. But if we do need to understand that we fall under those rules as well. So,
precisely, precisely.
yes, wonderful. Okay, so explain a little bit the part-time public school participants. You touched on that a bit, but what does that exactly mean?
So Idaho has what's kind of a part-time public school participation, dual enrollment is sometimes what it's referred to.
Right.
And it's basically that your homeschool student, you can go down to your local school district, the district your home is located in, and a school within that district, and sign up to participate in a class. It could be an academic class, it could be an athletic class, it could be purely extracurricular. And one of the things that you have to remember is when you do that, your student, your homeschool child is going to have to meet the exact same requirements
Right.
of any student in that school in
Which
order
would
to
be
participate.
GPA, vaccination requirements, any requirements that
Exactly.
they require.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And one of the things to remember too is that some classes have limited size. And the schools are at liberty to say, we can't accept homeschool students in this particular class because the class is full.
Right.
So they can
Correct.
prioritize their students over you and your
Yes.
child.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that. So I've heard the word a lot is freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we're going to talk a little bit next time about, the who, the why, and the when to homeschool. But if you haven't picked up on it, if you love freedom, homeschool is for you. And there's a lot
Yes.
of incredible freedom. So,
Yes.
um, so one last thing before we close up, there are current homeschooling families that are listening to this and ones that are coming in. And it's also important that we know that we are representing something to our community, something to our school
Absolutely.
district, something to our state. So, can you just touch before we close out a little bit on the importance of how we represent homeschooling well?
Well, obviously, when we interact with the public school system, public school teachers, public school students, and families, that the interaction needs to always be respectful. It needs to
Sure.
be kind. And one of the we bump into is that in certain communities, school principals and administrators and teachers haven't had a student dual enroll before. And they don't understand the system. They're not trying to stonewall you, they're not trying to be difficult. They just don't know. And
Right.
so we really should approach this as an opportunity to educate our peers, to come alongside them and make the whole situation, the whole interaction between homeschool and public school communities, one that's beneficial all the way around. Um, and yeah, so it's just a matter of being respectful and educating them, and then recognize sometimes administrators have had a bad experience with a homeschool family. So you might be making up some lost ground there, but
Right.
always go at it with the heart of an educator and the heart of a teacher with respect, and you'll be surprised at how well received you can be.
That is wonderful advice. I couldn't agree more. So, well, that wraps up our first session of the Getting Started series. So, thanks for joining us, and stay tuned. We'll be dropping more sessions this go. We have 10, and then at the end, if you guys have questions, email us over at info@homeschoolidaho.org or hop on our Facebook pages and ask the questions there. And at the end of this whole series, we'd love to do a question and answer. So you could also hang
Yeah.
on to your questions and hop on live with us then. So, Audra, thank you so much for bringing all of your
All
wisdom and
right.
your experience to the table. And we will see you next time.
All right.